Hello again, folks. Welcome to ESPN FC live here on YouTube every 12 o'clock Eastern Time, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, alongside Giannis Mihalik. I'm Dallin Cuff. Kay Murray was supposed to be leading the show right now. She's got some technical issues. She may drop in. We'll find out. But I guess, Giannis, it's like our producer, Rob Moore, took me from, I don't know, took me from the bench, and he put me in the midfield, or maybe took me from a 10, and now I'm in the 6 spot trying to hold it down versus showing my creativity and flair.
I thought you looked a little bit different, but coming off the bench, you just got to make an impact, and I'm sure you will. Let's have at it.
All right, we got a lot to talk about. Great article on ESPN.com. You can check out the best players by age written by our staff here. Lamine Yamal at 16 takes that all the way up to Messi at 36, each player at each age. Nice discussion point during the international break here. We are going to get the Premier League schedule, though, coming up this weekend. We'll dive into some big games, Merseyside Derby, Charles Arsenal, and also some odds in terms of who should win this thing, and top 4, very interesting. And we'll end on some transfer rumors. Let's start with this list here, Giannis. Let's ask it a broad, kind of bigger question. As you looked at the list and you kind of started to think about it, what do you make? What do you think of as you see these lists? And we do this all the time, especially with young players. What do you look at as you're looking through the list? What goes through your head as a former player, too, as we're evaluating particularly younger kids?
Longevity. I mean, that's the first thing that comes to mind, right? Because, I mean, we will be talking about some key names that are on the lips of everyone right now, and they're doing great. They're young. Of course, we know we're trying to project the ceiling that they may hit. Of course, we don't know. It's just a guess. I don't even know if it's an educated guess, because so much happens in the life of a footballer on and most importantly off the pitch, the environment they're in, right? The managers that are constantly changing the plans, the roles of players. I mean, look at Jude Bellingham, right? I mean, we'll get to him, but might as well. I mean, that's the name. What an environment. Did he think that he was going to be playing kind of a false 9 or sometimes even a striker and drop in the midfield? Probably not, but it's working for him, even though probably nobody thought that he could have started the season at a massive club like Real Madrid and be able to deal with that sort of pressure, not just dealing with pressure, because if he played well and didn't score any goals, I don't think anyone would say anything against him, but he's doing extra. So to me, it's silly. It's fun. I like doing it, actually, because I don't know what we talk about. If everything was so simple as to say, well, he's young, given time, let's see a little bit later. The season is long. Of course, everybody can say that, but it wouldn't be any fun. So let's go at it. There's some great players at the moment, great young players, but I'll wait for them, to see, are they going to be like Cristiano Ronaldo or Leo Messi?
That's the thing that comes to my mind as I look at these players. I always, particularly younger list, and Lamine Yamal is not an outlier, but 16. It's the youngest one we're looking at here. And I brought this up last week, but it's the same thing. The great movie, The Bronx Tale. There's nothing sadder in life than wasted potential. And that's what I hope for a lot of these younger players, is that they get to fulfill their full potential, whatever that may be, because you're put in a microscope so early. Like the name that always pops into my head, because he was one of the first $100 million players, but Ousmane Dembele. I'm sure he was the 20-year-old on this list 6 years ago in 2017 when he signed for over 100 million euros to go from Dortmund to Barca. He is not materializing the player that I think a lot of people would assumed he would have been. So it's we look at these players and there's assumption that they're going to reach this greatness. It's not necessarily a given. So let's look at 20-year-olds, because I think it's one of the most ripe groups in here. The article chose Bellingham as the best 20-year-old, but you got Pedri, you got Jamal Musiala, Florian Wirtz, amongst others. But when you look at that, I know you're big on Bellingham. Should he be number 20, the person at 20? And more broadly, where does he rank in terms of best players in the world in your mind?
Well, at the moment, he's up there. I mean, you could say, and you shouldn't be afraid to say that at the moment he is, by virtue of what he's doing, the amount of goals he's scoring early on, the assists, what he's done in replacing Karim Benzema, and that's not even his position, right? So this is so I don't think we should be afraid of it. I mean, I see a name of Jamal Musiala. I kind of like him a little bit better than a player. That doesn't mean that at the end of the day, one's going to be better than the other. I hope that maybe in 10 years' time, we're going to be talking about the rivalry of Leo Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo when it comes to those two. Also, it's important how they take care of themselves, how the club takes care of them. Because on that list, guess what? It's Pedri. Remember 2 years ago, if we had a show like this, you and I, surely we'd be talking about Pedri as the best player and possibly one of the best when, in 10 years. But we also remember what happened to him, right? Where in front of all of us, even though we're not experts in terms of, we're not managers, we don't run the clubs, but we saw how much football he's played. He's played everywhere, club, country, even went to the Olympics, right? And we all were saying, well, he's going to pay the price for that. And that's happening right now. So that's why I think we're being very, very careful in terms of just saying right now, at this moment, are they one of the best in the world? And clearly you have to say, even on that list, they are. Pedri will come back. Right now, he's still struggling with all of that because, he sneezes and it seems that he's injured right now. But given the talent that he's got, at the very least, we can say, when you look at that list and you look at Pedri, Musiala, Bellingham, Florian Wirtz. I mean, we just saw him. We saw Jamal Musiala, Florian Wirtz against another 20-year-old whom we know very well, Gio Reyna, who knows and played with Bellingham. And I think they're so far ahead of him. Why?
Yeah.
Well, injuries. I mean, Gio perhaps could be on that list, but we all know how his career has been so far. So that to me is super important, that consistency, that longevity. And I would say that about all the age groups, Don, is can they make a decisions right now that they are willing to forget everything else but football, because that's the only thing that will bring them to that level, and not to veer too far away. But the best example, at least for me, and I bet you for many people, because a lot of the times is what we like, right? I, for example, always have liked Messi more than Ronaldo, and I thought that this is it with Ronaldo. But see, look at it. Look, football is everything to him. We all know about his professionalism. We may like him as a person or not. Who knows, right? Because he rubs people the wrong way sometimes, and we don't even know him, and we make judgments. Did you not think when he went to Saudi Arabia was done and dusted, it's over?
Of course.
Yeah. Think about it. And I'm the first one to say right now, although Messi, in a way, he plays, I like him more. Look what he's doing. We are paying attention that he's scoring goals in Saudi Arabia. We may not be watching, but we know it. He comes back to Portugal. I mean, if Fernando Santos was still the manager, if he didn't leave for Poland, and by the way, he was already fired after a few games for Poland, if he stayed as the national team manager, I think, remember that game against Switzerland in Qatar in the World Cup, where he started Gonzalo Ramos, he had a hat-trick, 6-1, or whatever it was, right? I mean, if Fernando Santos was there, maybe that would have been the end of the road for Cristiano Ronaldo national team. Martinez comes in and look at him. He's scoring goals left and right. And you know what? He's very much relevant, Cristiano Ronaldo. And who knows, Portugal, the way they're playing, they may be one of the favorites to win the European Championships. And you know what? Would you be shocked that Cristiano Ronaldo somehow became the best goal scorer or one of the best players? See, that's what we do sometimes. We forget about that. And now bring it back to this conversation with the 16-year-olds or the 20-year-olds, and we'll get to the 22s soon. If I stop talking, I'm sure. That's what needs to happen. In order for them to see the ceiling, they're going to have to make that decision to say, you know what, this is what I'm going to be doing. I'm not going to be like like Neymar or and Hazard, who are great players and at times unplayable, but they just, for whatever reason, didn't make their game the super priority.
It takes a maniacal approach. You have to be obsessive about your body, your mind, your physical health, and your craft to reach the level of people we're talking about. When you're talking about Ronaldo at 38 years old, scoring 40 goals in 43 games, talking Messi at 36, coming, yes, into a weaker league in MLS, but just owning it and taking over in terms of that league. At that time, physical league, the heat, all that, his body was able to continue to do that. His body's breaking down a little bit now, but you have to have that type of approach to hit the level of people we're talking about. And you hope, to your point, that these young men, whether it's Pedri, when he hopefully gets healthy, can remain healthy, Jude Bellingham and others have that same mental makeup. It seems like it, but we'll wait and see. Time will tell. Let's go to the 22-year-olds because they're very interesting as well. And on this list, it was picked as Saka, Bukayo Saka from Arsenal, the best player at 22. But you got Enzo, Rodrigo, Gabriel Martinelli, Alphonso Davies, Szoboszlai. I mean, there's a lot of 22-year-olds to pick from. Did you think the list got it right with Saka?
I think it did. And again, this is similar to Musiala and Bellingham. I actually think in terms of ceiling for me, Martinelli is a little bit better. It's had a little bit of an injury, but and this is a preference. Again, I'm not trying to, say that Saka is not as good, but I just like what Martinelli offers in the game a little bit more. But Saka, just watching him week in and week out, being it for Arsenal or England, although he's not involved, he won't be involved in this game, this window. I mean, it's absolutely incredible, and he does have that attitude, right? I mean, everybody has kind of probably read by now or listened to podcasts, whatever it may be, in how he treats the game. Nothing matters to him but the game. He's always there, trains, even when he gets a day off. He's always in the training room, even on days off, taking care of his body and wanting to be that special player that he already is. And at this moment, Arsenal again having success after having, remember, I mean, kind of injured, not 100% sure if he was going to be able to play against Manchester City. All these things make me believe that at this moment, with some of the injuries we've had, some of the issues that, for example, Enzo has had with Chelsea in general, the sort of rebuild maybe at Liverpool, because the way I want to end it, it's so hard to compare them. We comparing them with age, but positions are different. When it comes to ceilings, I could see how maybe 10, 15 years from now, a player like Enzo or Soboslai may be higher than Saka and Martinelli, because it's different, right? I mean, they rely very much on scoring goals, on making the game in terms of assists, right? Being the impact players. Whereas I look at Enzo and Soboslai, and they could be the Modric's of the world, where for, every season consistently, there are the engine room. And it's almost, when I look at players like Enzo and Soboslai, you almost feel like without them, the team doesn't function. And that's the beauty of that player. That's why they're sometimes overlooked, but in my mind, maybe higher level than Saka and Martinelli, because then if they don't score, sometimes you feel like they could be replaced. I hope I made that clear.
100%. I think that's the beauty of football, is the fact that within these different positions and different roles on the field, your impact is measured in different ways. And that's what's part of this list, is part of the discussion, part of the debate, because what do you want your impact to be? Do you want to focus on the goals, assists, the created chances, the expected goals you create, or the impact you may have at a midfielder that's not quite the same in terms of numbers, but we can all see it as you're watching the field and watching the game play out, how influential and impactful those young men are. I think right for Saka right now, I mean, the guy played 87 straight Premier League games. He's been a revelation since he got into the first team. Martinelli has been great, and he's same way. He kind of burst on, obviously, and not in the same time period, about a year and a half or so ago. Him fully getting in and kind of seeing what he could do.